Hi, welcome to Learning Monkey. I am Raghuir. In this class, we will discuss about NFA with epsilon moves. In our previous classes, we already discussed about NFA. So, understanding the class NFA, how NFA executes, that is very important to understand this class. Please watch our previous classes and come back here. The link for the playlist is provided in the description below. Coming to today's class, so we define NFA with epsilon moves. We define NFA using phi tuple. Let's refresh the concept of NFA once and then we move into the concept of epsilon moves. We define NFA using phi tuples. These are the phi tuples. Q means set of states, sigma input symbols, Q naught means initial state, F final states, delta means transition diagram, transition symbols. So how we will transition from one state to other state, that is what transition means. And the conditions that are satisfied by NFA is these are the conditions that are followed by NFA. One input symbol move to multiple states. You can move on multiple states. Let's refresh the exam. Q naught, if you apply 1, we are moving to Q naught state and we are moving to Q1 state. So from this we understand from our NFA class, after taking the next input we have to apply one. It is divided into two machines. One machine is going to apply the next input on Q naught state, other machine is going to apply the next input on Q1 state. This is how NFA works. It is parallel execution. The same way NFA with epsilon moves is also an NFA, but with one extra condition. What's that condition means? Epsilon moves. So what's that epsilon moves? Let's try to understand. What's the second condition that is followed by NFA? No need to mention every input on a state. If you take the state Q2, did we mention the input 0 and 1? No, we did not mention. If it is needed, we mention, otherwise we don't mention. That flexibility is there on NFA. Because of this parallel execution, writing logic in NFA is easy. That is what we discussed in our previous classes, and we have done some examples also. We constructed some NFA examples by using this logic, NFA conditions. It's very easy to construct the logic. And one more, along with this NFA two conditions, one more conditions can be applied on NFA with epsilon moves. What's our third condition is we can go on with epsilon moves. What's epsilon moves? Moving states without receiving input symbol, without taking any input symbol, we can move from one state to other state. That is what epsilon moves is. Let's try to understand by taking an example. Take this example. This is our example. We start from Q naught. Without taking any input symbols, we can move from one state to other state. Which states we can move? We can move Q naught to Q phi because we are having epsilon. This is the symbol for epsilon. So with epsilon moves, we can move from Q naught to Q phi. What's the meaning of this? So this is the point you have to understand. Means without taking any input, we moved from Q naught to Q phi. By taking the next input symbol, where we have to apply? We can apply our next input symbol on Q naught state and Q phi state, both the states. So let's assume input string. This is our input string. Assume that 1000001. By taking the first input character, where we have to apply? We can apply our first input character on Q naught and Q phi. Means one machine, it is divided into two machines. One machine is going to apply the input character on Q naught. Other machine is going to apply the input character on Q phi. So here we are having two machines. So take the first input symbol 1. It is not matching here. The first machine is going to apply on Q naught state. So it is going to die because the input symbol not match here. But if you take the Q phi state, it is matching here. This is where the second machine is going to apply the first input character on Q phi state. This is going to continue. This machine is going to continue, the first machine is going to die. This is how it will be applied. So what's the benefit we will get with this epsilon moves? See, assume that for understanding purpose we are explaining in a vague manner. We will take the next, we are going to explain the example also. Assume that using these 5 states, Q naught, Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4, Suppose you defined a logic here using these 4 states, these 5 states, and you defined another logic here by taking the input symbol. we are going to check our logic here and here. Whatever the matching happen, that machine is going to continue, remaining is going to die. That flexibility we got using epsilon moves. Along with NFA two conditions, we are getting one more flexibility using epsilon moves. But writing logic using epsilon moves is a bit easy when compared to NFA. So that's why the writing logic in NFA with epsilon moves or NFA is bit easy when compared to DFA. But one point remember, we discussed in our previous classes, but implementation of NFA is not possible in real time. The same way, implementation of NFA with epsilon moves also not possible in real time. But what we have to do? We have to convert our NFA with epsilon moves to NFA, NFA to DFA. Then implementation of DFA is possible in real time. So in our last classes we already discussed about how to convert from NFA to DFA. In our next classes we are going to discuss about how to convert NFA with epsilon moves to NFA. We already discussed about how to convert NFA to DFA. These are the steps we have to follow. If you write the logic in NFA with epsilon moves, we have to convert that into NFA. Then NFA is converted into DFA. That will be implemented in real time. This is the steps we will follow. Let's take an example. For better understanding of the use of NFA with epsilon moves, write logic to identify floating point numbers. So this we have to write a NFA that accepts floating point numbers. The inputs are plus, minus, 0 to 9. 0 to 9 means any digit from 0, 1, 2, 3 up to 9. These are the input symbols which we consider. So these are the input symbols. This we consider take some sample floating point numbers. Plus 20.9. Yes, we can accept it as a floating point number. Minus 2222 dot 8888. Yes, this is also accepted as floating point number. 2567.9 accepted as floating point number. Dot 988 is accepted as a floating point number. 21 dot, yes, it is accepted as a floating point number. Only dot not accepted. So what's from these examples what we have understand? Initially you can find plus. Initially you can find minus. No need to find the plus or minus also. Then also floating point representation is possible. And one more thing, dot, before dot, is it compulsory to have digits? No. After dot, is it compulsory to have digits? No. But one condition we observe from this, at least one side, before or after dot, you should have at least one digit. So placing all these conditions in our mind, we have to design the logic of identifying floating point numbers. So this is the logic. We start from Q0. If you find plus or minus, we will go to Q1. If you don't find plus or minus, with epsilon moves we are going to Q1 by taking our first input symbol. If it is plus, this machine is going to continue. If it is, see here, by moving epsilon moves we are moving from Q0 to Q1. Means what happens here, one machine is going to apply our first input symbol on Q0 state, one machine is going to apply our first input symbol on Q1 state. If the first symbol is plus, the first machine is going to continue. If the first symbol is a plus, the second machine is going to die, because here we did not mention about input symbol plus. See how simple writing the logic using epsilon moves. That is the point you have to understand. Come to the remaining logic. After, if you take the first input symbol may be digit or no need of digit. You can find any number of digits. If you want to find any number of digits, that's why 0 to 9, 0 to 9, 2, 2, 2, stay here. Whenever you find dot, move. If you don't find the first digit, say on Q1 state, if you don't find digit, if you find dot, we are taking one step. After dot at least one digit has to be identified. That's why after taking one digit we are moving to final state. So this logic is identifying if the first input symbol is dot, at least one digit has to be identified. That is the logic this step is going to take. If initially we find digits, we are staying here and one step moving towards this side. This is NFA, we can go 2 steps. So after finding more number of digits, we will definitely find a dot. otherwise don't accept. After dot, that's why after taking dot we are moving to final state. After dot, it is not mandatory to find next digits, or no need to find digits, or you can find digits. That's why after taking dot you can find any number of digits, or you may not find digits, that also accepted. That's why here this after finding dot we are moving to Q3 state. This is what the NFA for identifying floating point numbers. So our point here is you have to understand what's the use of NFA with epsilon moves. Writing logic in NFA with epsilon moves is a bit easy when compared to the remaining things, but we have methods to convert this NFA with epsilon moves to NFA, NFA to DFA already discussed. DFA can be implemented. So in our next classes we are going to discuss how to convert NFA with epsilon moves into NFA. The procedure will be discussed in our coming classes, next classes. Hope you understand the concept. If you have any questions regarding the concept, please post your questions in the comment section below. Thanks for watching. If you haven't subscribed to our channel, please subscribe to our channel and press bell icon for the latest updates. Thank you.